Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services and our Talking Business interview series, talking to leaders in digital marketing, banking, insurance, customer service, and business education, all to highlight our team in Harrison, New York. We provide insurance-based enhancement programs and benefits to the credit card and payments industry. Now today we are really pleased to visit the offices of Weinrib and Connor in White Plains, New York, a business development and creative agency, and talk to their Chief Operating Officer. That is Tom Connor. Tom, good to be with you today. And,
thanks, Ken. This is fun to be live versus Zoom.
Okay, absolutely. It's so nice to be back visiting companies today. And Tom, you've got a long background in advertising communication. You actually started in banking. Tell us a little bit about your career, if you would.
Okay, I won't say when I graduated from college, but let's say it was a period of high inflation and low employment. And the last thing in the world I could get was work as an advertising copywriter, entry-level thing. I was offered a job in the mailroom at BBDO, but turned that down. Probably not a good move, but the commutation was more expensive than the paycheck. I started out in international banking, a chemical bank, and it was in the marketing area, and that was kind of a go-go period in banking just before they got into, in the mid-'80s, trading their treasury position and making real money through leveraged finance. The next whistle stop was working on the Chase Manhattan account at an agency in New York, defunct. The next whistle stop was working on a bunch of different kinds of clients with packaged goods, OTC focus. And then after that, I was chief creative officer at another defunct agency. And one Christmas Santa wasn't so good, so we got the idea to step off the curb and start Weinrib and Connor. The stars had aligned for this decision. Deciding to start an ad agency means two things. One, do you have clients you can walk, which we did? And two, do you have some capital to sustain you if things don't go according to plan, which we had. Almost 30 years later, here we are. And you can go to our website and see what we've done. But always, the emphasis here is how can we monetize the marketing to such a degree that the client will see a tangible asset or yield sooner rather than later. So, we are not media agnostic, quite the contrary. We come up with all kinds of media. We've done guerrilla work for AT&T where this is the truth. Like the number 3 advertiser in the country says, you have to do this event, but you don't have permission to do it. And I'm like, say that again? We're kind of hiring you to do what, like trespass? I could go on, but if a big client asks, we pretty much would do anything they said except jump off a bridge.
Okay. And Tom, tell us, there have been so many changes in media in the span of our careers. We started about the same time, and adjusting to the availability of the internet and to mobile phone, and then the whole world of digital. How did you handle going from kind of traditional print and network television production to this whole new world of digital?
I credit a lot of that to the aforementioned AT&T. We were privileged to be brought into the circus tent and exposed to exactly what the mobile digital future entailed. This was before we thought of phones as a 32 feature Omni tool, flashlight, radio, all that sort of craziness. But the thing that I likened it to, because I had worked in the tobacco category for probably one of the best clients I ever served, Philip Morris USA. People can say what they want, but it was a legal consumer purchase. Very smart people. A cigarette smoker handles their package 20 times a day at least. You can't have 20 Budweisers a day. But that said, think about how many times you handle the phone today and all the different chores it performs. A lot of people, myself included, if I'm working remotely, can have, before phones until now, operated running my creative department through the iPhone. You would say, well, why wouldn't you use a bigger screen? Well, the answer is, if it reads on the small screen in 10 seconds, it's probably pretty good. Things have had to become faster, better, and cheaper. That's sort of one of our mottos. Production value, for example. People think it's about how much money you spend on a production, video, TV production in terms of the dollars. Quite the contrary. It's more a question of the know-how and the ability of the producer and the director to bring their expertise forward, so that even a shoot like this could go up a couple of notches. We have Venetian blinds around us. We could easily filter light through them. This is all basic stuff that, unfortunately, even some people in video today haven't quite mastered. We agency folk do TV because we knew we could never get into Hollywood. Most movies are the most plastic medium in the history of the planet, and they're not going anywhere fast in the sense of losing favor. If anything, our visual acuity today is at an all-time high. Commercial could have 30 cuts today. When I started out, maybe only 7. So, the thing about digitization is we made the decision several years ago to have a very small digital footprint. It sounds kind of counterintuitive, but in a lot of respects it's paid off handsomely, because we just don't get hammered with the kind of stuff we would if we had a bigger digital footprint. And I think a lot of companies are starting to realize that once it gets out there, it's out there, it don't go away. It's impossible to extricate things from the internet, and being circumspect certainly helped. We have several clients we've signed non-disclosure agreements for, and those are binding. We have many others that, once the creative hits the public domain, it's fine for us to share it. But I will also point out, I think a lot of companies are going to websites looking for a brain dump. In other words, they want to see what they can learn from you and, forgive my French, I'm from the Bronx, pirate it. This isn't, we're not in the education business. We're in the marketing business. We're in the making money for clients business, because if we ain't making money, they don't need us. And, again, go to the website, you'll see a host of household names and small businesses we've been very proud to serve and move the needle.
Absolutely. And you specialize in business development for blue chip companies, institutions, schools, and many others. What is the key today in business development? It seems like you've got to be out there on different channels and reaching people in different ways.
It starts with having a good smiler and dialer. You really need somebody who's gifted on the phone. A good salesman will knock on the same door maybe a dozen times, and finally, out of fatigue, the person will pick up the phone, and once that toe gets in the door, things can start to happen. Our motto is, we do everything, our clients do nothing. Of course, they're entitled to play in the sandbox if they want, but in the end, if you can't put together an entrepreneurial vision for your client, what are you doing? You're just filling out coloring books, making some sort of publicity overture. There was a motto at one of the big agencies in New York: it isn't creative unless it sells. I think our opus has enough of those examples in enough different industries to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that, like we say, our work works.
Absolutely. Now, just if you would tell us, maybe run down some of the services that you provide to your clients. It seems like communications now has so many channels, and you talked earlier about when you produce a video, it's going to be repurposed, not just on possibly network television, but for cable, and then also for websites and for YouTube, even social media. How do you do that?
Okay, well, we did some work for Visa in their urban marketing group. It started out in cable, it ended up on network. I think what people have to understand is, the consumer maybe has 3 seconds to decide they like you, okay? Outdoor is probably the toughest medium. You see very few clever billboards as a result. Most of them are garbage. There was a time when we used the notion integrated marketing so that everything kind of looked like it came from the same womb, but that's an oversimplification today and probably not correct. So the fundamental foundation is the creative work plan. We follow the Y&R creative work plan. I was a freelance floater there for a while and worked with some pretty smart guys. The essence of the creative work plan is, how do we know this is going to touch, force the reaction, and then generate the yield? It could be as simple as try our new flavor of ice cream. In essence, if I develop a video, if I shoot a job, we're going to follow this production approach. We overshoot, but we meticulously script, and we will get out of a 1 day of production maybe 3 or 4 different versions, which we call pull-outs. So, for example, if I need a 15-second paid social media video, I have exquisite metrics on who that audience is, where they work, job title, all that other stuff. Well, that segment or that donut in the video is something I'm going to give extra attention to, and I'm going to figure out how to sandwich it with other narrative components that'll make that a generalist statement, but at the same time I can iterate off that to a highly specific audience pitch. We did a job for the Yankees on something people don't realize they're world champions at. Their, if you will, green Yankee Stadium. And it started out as a series of videos and ended up in an omnibus piece where they were awarded the top prize in sports, the sports industry, for their green efforts. And then that segued into a PowerPoint. Now, I mention this because one of the things we provide all clients with, and it's a fact of life, is our work has a tremendous shelf life. In other words, if we create a video asset for you, this thing isn't going to look like caca next year because people are wearing different colored Crocs or something like that. This thing is going to work probably for 5 to 10 years because there's certain universals in this business that enough people don't understand, like good dialogue, convincing real people on camera. I've developed a knack for directing real people. I worked with a gentleman named Mickey Trenner on a production crew for Compton Advertising, handling Tide commercials. And Mickey was the best at, the man in the street stuff where he would shoot from a van and some bozo and anchorman type would ask consumers questions. And you discover that real people can be themselves and come across on camera really good. So when we would take when you have to do something like this, talking heads, there's a whole zen of how you get that person to be themselves, their best selves, without, being, structured and lacking warmth. My point is, charm counts a lot in this business. You have to charm the viewer into wanting to see and hear what you have to do.
Absolutely. And just an idea, we work with 1,000 banks around the country. And
they're all the same by law. What makes them different? Well, that's brilliant packaged goods thinking.
Absolutely.
What's the difference between Colgate and Crest? Let me know when you figure that out, okay?
Well, one of the things we're encouraging is CEOs and project managers at banks, could be any kind of company, to do more video.
Nobody reads. Nobody reads. Yeah, that's not me talking. Just look at the data in print media.
And how do you get someone comfortable doing that who may never have been on camera before?
Well, I meet with them, and we start to talk about all kinds of things. Typically, it comes down to, do you like your office? You know, what's the most architecturally significant location we have? You know, and I might find it's not outside the building, but there's a hallway or another place where I can get them to do a walk and talk. So if I say to you, you know, I want you to start at the end of the hallway and start talking as you come to us, and we'll have a guy on the camera following you. He'll be sitting in a wheelchair, by the way, the cameraman. You're going to say your thing, and you might find it humorous that we're doing it this way, but once you do it a couple of times, you're going to nail it, and it's gold. People have to remember the camera is the anatomy we don't possess. When you have a camera on a big gym arm and it's almost like approaching, not bird's eye view, but over the heads, that's kind of a neat look. When we see the camera taking us to places our two eyes attached to our head can't go, that's when we get interest. So the physical movement of the camera is the devil in the details that makes video a much more surprising medium, even when it's the same old, same old.
And we are having a great time today visiting the offices of Weinrib and Connor here in White Plains, a business development and creative agency, lots of experience, and just hearing a little bit from Tom Connor today. Tom, maybe to wrap up, perhaps a thought about how everyone needs to approach communications coming out of the pandemic. It seems like we're going to have a busy fall, lots of conventions.
Yeah, well, we're handling a client right now who's heading into Trade Show City, and you know, like, there's just some things people have to recognize. Number one, there is supply chain issues with some show materials. Number two, I'd say there's a Zen. I'm a big fan of architecture. I've studied the history of architecture. Your booth space, for example, needs good 3D design. We've certainly done our share of that work. It's not enough to buy panels and throw graphics up there. I'd try to have a booth that, for example, if you have video, play it with the sound off, okay? Because the people who work for you, who sit in the booth, are going to have migraine headaches after a day of this. The second thing is, don't give away ballpoint pens. You know, candy's nice because people are always looking for free stuff to eat, but I would say the best thing you can do is put a QR code on the counter, have a video in lieu of a brochure, and possibly have that video running in context with the other panels, or however you choose to three-dimensionally design your show. And last but not least, the most important thing, let hucksters like us tell you how to sell, given the gamut of questions you can get asked, from hostile to, you know, false, how shall I say, embrace. You know, people wow you with compliments and never talk to you again for the rest of their lives.
And one of the things we love to do at conferences, we've been doing at a number, is do interviews on video at the booth or to guest speakers after their talk, and do a quick summary. And,
great.
And one of the things we recommend, and we've helped some companies with, is just doing a video at their booth. You know, 3 to 5 minutes, get a representative, hear their key points, and get that up on LinkedIn while the event is going on, virtually live. You record and edit and post in a matter of half an hour today. And we see companies doing that, actually setting up studios in their booths at some of the trade shows.
Well, the booth we just designed, I told my client, this is your video set for life. You know, this is like a news desk, you know, at the nightly news. You know, I can't emphasize enough pre-show marketing and post-show marketing. And, you know, in a nutshell, there's a lot of, you know, I'm bad with jargon. There's a lot of video downloads at shows to begin with that sort of pop up on your phone, and those are great. But I think the opt-in piece, you know, if you want to think about this, Ken, it's real simple. So you drop 40 or 50 grand to be at this trade show. Did you close on the business you were looking to book, or was everybody's schedule just nuts? So now, you know, we started in direct response when we opened our doors, because it was a niche we could fill and get into a lot of blue chips that way. So now think in terms of, you've got your email list, think of maybe there's 3 ways you market. Think about covering those different specificities, so when you reach out to these people, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here today. Visit with Tom Connor, the Chief Operating Officer of Weinrib and Connor Business Development Creative Agency here in White Plains, and I want to thank my friends at the Business Council of Westchester for introducing us, and such a pleasure to meet your team, including Mary, Connor, and we look forward to doing this again. You got a lot of experience to share.
Yeah, but I'm too busy to be an adjunct professor at a local university.
Tom Connor, great to visit with you and hear about your company, Weinrib and Connor, here in White Plains. And this is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services and CBSI Talking Business. We're based in Harrison, New York. We provide insurance-based benefit programs to the credit card and payments industry. And great to be here, and great to get the fall season going. And so we'll have more episodes very soon. Thank you for watching.